It's purring for you. Ooh, kisses on camera. Is that what you wanted to show everybody? How you kiss Mama? And are you going to kiss them too? Oh, why don't you purr for everyone? Oh, lucky everybody. Lucky everybody. Now your lips are red. Oh, are you done? Okay. You just gonna help Mommy film now? Oh. I thought she wanted Lila and me time, and no, she just wasn't happy doing Lila and me time. And now she's licking Taz. Oh dear. Oh dear. They might be having their own lick time. Uh-oh. I think Taz is going to hit her. Oh. And then she whacked him with her tail. Okay. All right. So there we go. All right. So immigration. Hi everybody. We are here for immigration. I could make that its own video, but I think that would be a 1-minute video. So, immigration. Immigration. Focus. All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Book of Katherine. As you can see, we do everything from my cats all the way to what I think on things and beauty and just, it's whatever I think. So, the YouTube model says that they tell us on YouTube that we are supposed to be doing one thing and one thing only, and that people will not like it if you do anything other than one thing. And I noticed that everyone said just do one thing or your users get upset if you don't do one thing. And I was like, I realized it was stopping me from ever recording because I was like, I cannot do one thing. And now that I've done my YouTube research, which you can find on April 2nd and April 4th, and also right here on How Tati Films 5 days a week, I am so glad that that did not hold me back. I am so glad that I listened to my acupuncturist and just went for it and just filmed anyways, because she's like, I really think people need to hear what you have to say. I really think that shouldn't stop you. I think you should do you. People just want to hear you. I'm so glad I listened to her and just went ahead and did it, because I realize now YouTube wants us doing just one thing only, because that fits their demographic and that fits their advertisers, because advertisers are looking for people to advertise just their product. And if you do a whole bunch of things, then it doesn't quite work very well for sponsors, does it? No, it doesn't. So yeah, so just suck it, Laura Lee, and you advertising for your, because she did the whole video for us, didn't she, on how to be a good YouTuber and get a lot of people. And yeah, that whole thing was just on how to be good for the YouTube. I just couldn't believe it after I did my YouTube research. I was like, she was just making us all good. She was like, after I got to 1,000, then I suddenly took off. And I was just like, back then you had to have up to 1,000 people to have to get on one of those networks, and then she suddenly took off. No, she got up to 1,000 people and then got on a network. Now you don't need 1,000 people to be on a network. Anyway, if you don't know what I'm talking about, you can click down below. I'll have it the Tati. Now at 3 minutes, we'll get to immigration. All right, because it's Book of Katherine. We're doing everything. So immigration. What are we doing in immigration? So immigration. So I came from an immigrant family, like both sides of my family were immigrants. So I don't know if that's telling too much or whatever. But, you know, it was really interesting to me when I was teaching kids in an inner city, and in came, I had grown up in the public school system, and then I went to teach in the inner city school system, and in comes an assembly. Now, I'd done a lot of different kinds of assemblies, but in came this guy for an assembly at this school that was predominantly black and had some Hispanics in it or whatever, and in comes this speaker, which I now know was funded by Soros, and comes in and tells all the students there that, hey, by the way, every white person you know came from a family that used to own slaves, which explains why so many people, like, hate. That's what, when you suddenly, because we used to be able to talk to one another, and now suddenly when you see videos of them going and hitting us and making us bleed in the face, they think that we used to own slaves. Like, I couldn't believe the assembly. I just sat there with my mouth to the floor, my jaw literally hanging to the floor, as they had an assembly in a public school to tell the entire student body that every single white person came from a family that owned slaves. And I had to go back to the classroom and draw them a map and say, guess what? Ellis Island happened. You know, like Ellis Island happened, and this is how, and no. And by the way, you know, the North and the South, the North had a lot of white people that fought. You know, they didn't own. They made it just fine. What happened to all of them? Like, there's just this one demographic. Oh my gosh. Like, but it explains the hate. Like, I understand the hate. I absolutely understand the hate. You know what I mean? Like, I get it now because I understand they just Soros funded this thing to go through all the schools and divide us. So even now, like, I understand. Like, now they just say immigration. They say, if you hate immigration, like, we're a nation of immigrants. Well, that's actually technically, and this is the thing, this is how the leftists win, right? And remember, leftists, that's different than liberals. Like, majority of my friends are liberals. But they are not leftists. Leftists is like a cult. They have this way of thinking. If you don't think exactly like them, they kick you out. And they have a lot of ways of thinking. A lot of the thinkings conflict. Like, it doesn't make sense when you actually line them up. And they hold a thing of standards for everyone else, but they don't hold that standards for themselves. Like, it's okay to bully and harass if you're a leftist, but if anyone on the other side bullies and harasses, they have to be taken down and thrown in jail. I find that very interesting. So it's just this whole thing of hypocrisy. It's very, very fascinating. So let's talk about the facts of immigration. So immigration, I love immigration. I think that immigration is wonderful if it's diverse. Like, I am all for diversity in immigration. Like, I am. I think diverse immigration is fantastic. I do. I am all for diverse immigration. I am all for diverse immigration. I am all for the kind of immigration that happened when my families came over. You know, we were a nation of immigrants. Well, there's tools that you could, if you technically go back, remember the leftists win because they make you look at just the language on top, but they don't want you to look at the nuances. Okay, let's go ahead and start with that. We are a nation of immigrants. They put pictures of Ellis Island. Well, let's talk about Ellis Island. Ellis Island, you came to Ellis Island, and what did they do? They quarantined people who were sick. They were like, if you have polio or anything like that, they quarantined you, and they were like, no, they didn't let you in, right? They have this whole thing of like, if you're sick or diseased or whatever and stuff like that, they were like, no, and they have this whole thing. Ellis Island didn't just say, come on in, like, everyone come on in. No, and Ellis Island didn't say, oh, by the way, if you bring someone in, like if you came in, okay, that automatically means like 12 generations, actually, as it's happening now, 22 generations get to come in. You know, no, it's just if you're approved to come in, you get to come in. And every single person came in as an individual. You came in on individual merits. So if you want to say we're a nation of immigrants, yes, if we go on that system, I am just fine with going on that system. You come in as individuals. And, oh, wait, we have that system in place. What's wrong with that system? Oh, wait, no, we don't have that system in place. No, we don't. Let's talk about the system we have in place. Let's talk about the system we have in place. You may be upset about immigration because you're like, I know people who've tried to get in and they had to work hard and they had to pay a lot of money. Man, it's not fair. You're right. That's the kind of immigration that they want to keep in place. Let me drop the facts on you. Let me just drop the facts on you that they don't want. They don't want you to look at the nuances. Tyranny is tyranny is, you know, choosing to omit facts. Like they are choosing to make sure you don't look at the nuances. So I am going to illuminate the nuances. Let's look at the nuances. I'm sorry, I'm moving around a lot because I'm in a lot of pain. Like, the pain is not good today. It's been horrific all week. So if you don't know who I am, I'm chronically ill and in a lot of pain and have a lot of disabilities, and that's just the way it is. And I tape when I can. So I'm trying to stand up and move a little bit. Moving can distract from the pain and all that kind of stuff. So let's drop the facts. Let's drop the real facts. Number one, the system that we have in place now does not let diversity come in. It does not let diversity come in. It doesn't. There's a reason all these people took forever to get in. I right now know of people. I know of companies in my own town that have amazing, incredible talent that want to get in. And the companies cannot afford to bring them in because it costs so much to bring them in. They are brilliant, brilliant minds that we cannot get here because people here refuse to study this level. They don't want to study at this high level. But in other countries, they do want to study this high level and they want to come here, but they're not allowed to come here. Why? Because they're too civilized. No, if you come from a certain country, if you come from a certain country, the Democrats have made it so that it costs $1 gajillion and it takes forever for you to get in. What is the system they're fighting for? What are the immigrants that are allowed to get in? Right now, about 3/4 of the entire world are blocked from getting into the United States of America. 3/4. 25% of the world is allowed to get in at just incredible rates, like with almost no checks. Like no checks or anything like that. Just allowed to flood in. What's so special about that 25% of the world? They come from dictatorships. Why in the world would they want countries with dictatorships? If it is a country, think about it. Think about the people that that took forever to get in. Do they come from a dictatorship? No, they come from a country that isn't a dictatorship. It is third world dictatorships that are being allowed in at astronomical rates. Now, I don't have a problem with that if everyone is allowed a shot at the prize at an equal rate. That's not what's happening. So you're wondering, well, what the heck? Why is it that only, this small percentage of the world is being allowed in at floodgate rates? And it's only dictatorships. Not only is it only dictatorships, but it's dictatorships that have tribal communities. What does that mean? That means communities that don't go out and live out and Their tribal communities mean that you live within your family and then your mother's family. It's like you live back in biblical times where you live in a tent and it's all your extended family. That's done on purpose so that when you come here, that whole extended, the thing of you come in and then all your extended family gets here, it's done on purpose. It's done on purpose so that when they come, they have that extension to 1 million levels of family. That's a tribal community that gets to come in. They do that on purpose. If you get somebody from, say, India or Norway or Russia, they don't have 22 relatives that come in because that's not their tribe. They don't have a tribe. They live on their own, or they have just a husband, or they have just a wife, or they have just a kid. That's not what they want. So let's ask ourselves, why this happened or what the real thing is. The reality is that this is something no one knows. This is just the basic facts. So did you know that no Democrat was able to keep a presidential office longer than 4 years before Bill Clinton? Do you know all the laws he broke in order to keep it another 4 years? He broke so many laws in order to push through. The voting laws and the immigrants he pushed through just to get those things. Just the national security he broke just to make sure he was elected again because he wasn't going to be. Yeah, no Democrat had ever... Remember Jimmy Carter? How bad it was? And boom, another Republican got elected. That just kept happening to the Democrats over and over and over again. A Democrat would be elected, and then boom, a Democrat would be elected. And 4 years later, the people are like, what were we thinking? Like, what were we thinking? Like, their policies don't work. Like, what were we thinking? The nation would go to bits, and they'd put in another Republican. And the Democrats were like, well, what the heck are we going to do? Like, this is not working out. Like, this is not working out. We need to change something. And so when JFK died, you should look into the forensics of that. Forensics don't lie. Evidence doesn't lie. When JFK died, after that, everyone felt sorry, and the Republicans were kind of like, go ahead and do whatever, Democrats. And the Democrats got to push whatever they wanted to. The nation was in mourning, and the Republicans didn't feel like shutting them down on everything. And so Ted Kennedy got to push through like whatever he wanted, and he got to push through an immigration bill. And the immigration bill changed everything. It put it through a new immigration bill. It changed the immigration that we had before. Everyone who's like, oh, we're a nation of immigrants, they don't put pictures of the immigration that happened after 65. They put pictures of the immigration bill, like everything the immigration happened before, where we checked for polio, where we checked for things like that, where it was equal, like the whole world had a shot. Then they passed a new immigration bill that was designed to shove in votes, like literally designed to get voters that would vote for Democrats only. Like people who don't think for themselves, people who vote for PACs, people who vote for dictatorships, like literally who vote for the male in the family and vote as the male in the family votes, who vote for a dictator like they, I mean, it's unbelievable. Who are easily paid off, who think that cheating the system is fine, who usually, this is the biggest thing, they voted for people who will live off the welfare system, and therefore you vote for Democrat because you need the welfare system. And they just flooded our system. And it's only from those countries. And I'm just kind of like, dictatorships, tribal systems, they put through like the chain migration is where you let in all 22 layers of the family. I mean, like, and they always say it, like, the state media loves to say, like, oh, chain migration, like, don't you want to let in their grandmother? It's not their grandmother. It's 22 extra family, like, it's on and on and on and on, because it's from a tribal system. They see that as their family. Whereas if you go to any other country in the world, they only see their family as maybe 5 other people. But even then, the nation of immigrants, the pictures that they put up, their family was seen as one other person. But even then, we were always judged as individuals. Always. The immigration system that the rest of our families came in on, we were judged as individuals, and we were let in on our own merit, on our health and everything like that. And it was really sad. Then not even talking about that, but then like 60% of that, 30% of that system, of the one that lets in 25% of only the world, 25% of that, 30% of that system is from, 60%, I can't remember. 30% of that system, like the majority of that system is coming from Mexico. One of all those countries, of all the, and they're all third world countries, they're all dictatorships, they're all like, they come in, they all need, they don't have skills, they don't speak our language, we don't require them to learn any of that, we don't require them to actually get things, and that's the thing is that we did, with the Ellis Island and everything like that, we were like, okay, you have to assimilate, and what assimilate means is like, agree to obey our laws. And when somebody gets murdered, when you get in a traffic accident and the judge rules that, sorry, they were just living the country, like, go ahead, look at like Guatemala, look at the laws that they obey in their country and think, they murder women at that high of a rate. And think, wait till a judge gets into your courtroom and hears that they murdered your daughter, and then the judge rules that that's just their culture. That's when you're going to think, oh, I wish they had assimilated. Like, there's a reason. And the people who wait in line and do, like, the citizen courses, they do value our laws. They do value it. You know what I mean? Like, if you come to America, it's because there's something here that you want, and you take the things and you learn the things of what it takes to obey the laws here. And there should be that kind of thing. Like, if you come here, you have to agree to obey the laws, or else we're not going to get along together. Someone is going to hurt somebody else. There has to be the agreement that we won't hurt each other. That's what assimilation is. We agree we won't hurt each other. We agree we'll both stop at the red light. When the light turns red, we all agree we'll stop at the red light. That's essentially what it is. You know, and we all agree that the First Amendment matters. Things like that. Like the Constitution has value. But tribal communities don't. And most tribal communities are Islam, where they're marrying their daughters off at the age of 8. Why would Democrats want child marriage communities? Think about that when you hear immigration next time. When I sent you that, let me click it again, child marriage. And it says most areas in the world. Most areas of the world are the only ones allowed into the U.S. under our current immigration laws. And ask yourself, why don't we have an immigration system that allows everyone a bite at an apple, and only the countries that allow child marriage? Why is that? That's what it comes down to. If America is built on immigrants, and if we really want cultural diversity, then why is Europe and Canada and Asia, why are they all blocked from coming in? Why aren't they allowed in? Why are brilliant Indian engineers allowed in? That's the other thing. The system is heavily stacked against anyone who has education or smart. Oh my gosh, if you are smart in any way, you will never get in this country. It's only if you are poor and have zero skills and are going to live off the welfare system. I have no problem with that if you're letting everyone else in too. If everyone has a bite at the apple, I've got no problem. But they have a problem with it. They have a big problem with it, which is why they don't want you looking at the nuances. They don't ever want you looking at the nuances. Because if you do, you find out that cultural diversity is a big, fat lie. Once again, it means the opposite. It means cultural oneness, a dictatorship system. I wonder why they would want America flooded with people who are used to a dictatorship. I wonder if that's because when America falls, there won't be anyone there who's willing to fight.